What if you were part of an experiment without ever giving your consent? What if your thoughts, your choices, and even your emotions were being studied, tested, and influenced every single day without you having the slightest clue? This isn't a plot from a sci-fi movie. It's happening right now, around you, on you, in you. In this eye-opening video, we uncover 10 shocking ways the world is experimenting on you without your knowledge, without your permission, and often without your protection. Social media psychological manipulation. Every scroll, every like, and every share is not just data, it's behavior being analyzed. Social media platforms conduct psychological experiments on their users daily. In one now infamous 2012 study, Facebook secretly changed the emotional tone of users' news feeds to see if they could influence their moods. And they did. People's emotions shifted, happiness or sadness, based purely on what they were exposed to. You weren't notified, you weren't asked, but you were manipulated, tested like a lab rat, and your emotional response became part of their research database. Consumer behavior and retail testing. From the moment you enter a supermarket or open a shopping app, you're being observed. Companies test everything, from the music playing in the background to the layout of the shelves, even the color of buttons on a website. Two people in different cities may see different prices for the same product, just to see who will pay more. Personalized offers, flash sales, they're not generosity, they're experiments to learn your spending habits, emotional triggers, and purchase timing. You're not shopping, you're part of a behavioral economics lab, and you're not even getting paid for it. News framing and emotional response. Every headline you read, every breaking news notification you receive, it's carefully crafted and often experimentally framed. Media outlets test different ways of presenting the same story to gauge your reactions. A story can be made to spark fear, anger, sympathy, or apathy, just by changing a few words or images. During elections or global crises, these framing techniques intensify, pushing you to think, feel, and act in specific ways. You're not just reading the news. You're part of a massive psychological experiment on mass influence. Medical and pharmaceutical testing, without consent. Perhaps the most dangerous and deeply unethical form of hidden experimentation lies in the medical world. In many developing nations, vulnerable populations are used for drug trials without proper consent. In India, tribal girls were injected with the HPV vaccine without informing their families. Several of them died. It was later revealed that it was part of a clinical trial. Many patients, even today, are unknowingly given placebos during treatment. Poor and rural communities are frequent targets for experimental drugs because they are less likely to question authority or understand consent forms written in legal jargon. Western pharmaceutical companies often outsource risky trials to countries with weaker legal protections. Between 2005 and 2012, over 2,500 people died in clinical trials in India alone, with little accountability. Real people, real deaths. And most were never even told they were part of an experiment. Algorithmic behavior shaping. Your digital life is shaped by algorithms that are constantly running silent experiments on you. What video appears next on YouTube, which post is shown first on Instagram, what ad you see on Google, none of it is random. These platforms tweak variables constantly to test how long they can keep you engaged, how they can change your opinions, and what will make you click. They are perfecting psychological hooks using billions of users like you. Every day, your mind is being trained, tested, and reshaped by a system you can't even see. City-level behavioral experiments. You may not realize it, but entire cities have become laboratories. Governments and researchers test ways to influence public behavior using architecture, lighting, noise, and even smells. For example, in cities like Tokyo and Glasgow, blue street lighting was installed to see if it would reduce crime, and it worked. But citizens were never told they were part of a behavioral trial. These subtle environmental tweaks are tested in public spaces to observe reactions in real time. You walk through the city unaware, while researchers watch and note how you respond. Military and covert psychological experiments. The darkest chapters of hidden experimentation often come from military operations. During the Cold War, the CIA launched Project MKultra, dosing unwitting civilians and soldiers with LSD in an attempt to understand mind control. These people were monitored, manipulated, and mentally broken, without ever being informed. In other nations too, psychological and neurological experiments were conducted on prisoners, soldiers, and even children. Files were marked classified. Victims were left damaged for life. These weren't horror stories from distant history. Some operations continued into the 1990s and beyond, quiet, brutal, and real. Smart devices and surveillance testing. Have you ever casually spoken about a product and then seen an ad for it without ever searching for it? Your phone, smart speaker, or even your TV might have been listening, not for security, but for data. Voice recognition AI is constantly being trained using your conversations, your tone, and your interests. Tech companies test how much privacy you're willing to sacrifice in exchange for convenience. They experiment with how much they can track without triggering outrage. The real question is, how much do they already know about you? Education system as experimental ground. Students across the world are part of educational experiments they never agreed to. Governments and institutions regularly roll out new syllabi, grading systems, online learning tools, and psychological models in classrooms without understanding long-term effects. Children become test subjects for policies designed by people far removed from actual learning environments. Success or failure, mental strain or emotional collapse, students bear the burden. They're told it's for modernization, but often it's experimentation disguised as innovation. Food engineering and chemical addiction. Ever wondered why you can't stop eating certain snacks? It's not your lack of willpower, it's science. Food corporations hire chemists to engineer the perfect combination of salt, sugar, and fat to trigger the brain's reward system. They test flavors, textures, even the sound of crunch to create food that's not just tasty, but addictive. These products are trialed on you in real time. You keep coming back, and they keep collecting data. This isn't about nutrition. It's a neurological trap designed in a lab, perfected in a boardroom, and sold in your supermarket. You were never asked. You were never told. But you were studied, tracked, and altered. In the name of science, in the name of profit, in the name of control. The world has become a laboratory, and you are the subject. But awareness is the first act of rebellion, the first spark of freedom, because the most dangerous experiment is the one you don't know you're part of. All the best from Easy Academy. Stay informed, stay free.